worldview. Is that contradictory?
No, see, the people, the atheists and the agnostics either deliberately recognize they're being disingenuous, or they fool themselves into thinking that they can have neutral facts. You can't. To say that there's a neutral fact is to deny God. In other words, that a fact can exist and be intelligible without reference to the necessity of God. So the atheist claims, well, I don't know whether God exists or doesn't exist. They're claiming to not make a universal negative one way or the other, but they are making a universal negative implicitly and indirectly by their reliance on themselves and other standalone facts. That facts can be presented as actual and intelligible without the necessity of referencing the necessity of God. And this pisses atheists off to no end, because they either desperately want to believe that they're neutral, or they know they're not neutral, but they don't want to be exposed. They don't want their non-neutrality to be exposed.
Then they'd have to defend it.
Right, because they want to hide behind, well, atheism is simply the rejection of a claim. No, that's simply false. That is a gross misrepresentation of what the rejection is. Because you can reject the assertion gold on Mars, right? You can be neutral toward gold on Mars, because gold on Mars is not being presented as the ground of all existence.
Oh, that's the whole creator-creation distinction you talk about.
That's right, because God is character. If something is not characterized, if whatever is spoken of about God is not characterized in terms of the creator-creature distinction, or the creator-creation distinction, okay,
Mm-hmm.
then we're not talking about God. We're talking about some creature that is ensconced within a system,
which is dependent.
Whereas God, right, which is dependent, derivative, okay.
Right,
Whereas
so
God, where God is ultimate, and God institutes and secures creation, all of those particulars. He's the concrete universal,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So, Darth, I was just kind of curious though, because when you talk about God, aren't there, multiple forms of God?
See, it is inevitable that this is brought up. Well, I'm not arguing for a generic God, because a generic God is not going to get you out of the conundrum of incoherence. In order for there to be human coherence and intelligibility, that God is going to have a very specific attribute set, okay? In order for there to be human intelligibility, God is going to have to exist. He's going to have to be omniscient, omnipotent, always truth revealing, right?
Not
and
changing.
Has a plan, immutable, yes, absolute, ultimate. And he has a plan that he has instituted and secures, and he has a salvific plan to deal with the current human condition, which is abnormal since the advent of creation. Now, if one dismisses that, and by the way, that property set is unique to the God of the Bible. No other God possesses this. Okay.
Can you give him an example why the Islamic God wouldn't be it?
Because he's not always truth revealing. Okay.
The Quran is no. Allah is deceitful. Yeah, he's deceitful.
Yeah. Allah cannot count. Right. Allah thought that the Trinity was Allah, Jesus, and Mary. Right. Muslims are just incredibly deceitful about these errors, right? So these are all of these counterfeit gods. They're just idolatrous representations, right? The reason why people adopt these idolatrous representations of God is because they do not want to submit to the God who has revealed himself in natural and special revelation. People know, everybody knows they're inherently sinful. Everybody knows God exists. Everybody knows that they're guilty before God. And everybody knows they're fooling themselves, that through some type of self-effort or self-will or performance, that somehow, some way, we're going to escape the wrath of God. This is just whistling past the graveyard. God convicts our heart. Why do you think it is so many unbelievers take Christianity so seriously? Because they know down in their hearts it's true, but they don't want it to be true. So they psychologically deceive themselves. The point of what I'm trying to show you, Danger Dan, is that atheism, which is one branch of autonomous reasoning, is self-defeating and self-refuting. It's a universal negative, but you just admitted that universal declarations cannot be made. So if no universal declaration can be made, then neither can you be an atheist. You see how atheism is
So
self-defeating and
then what am I?
incoherent, Danger? Well, you do believe in God,
No, I definitely see that.
but yeah, you do believe in
Oh,
God, but
so
on
I'm
a
just
daily
so
basis,
I'm just denying.
you like all other human beings, depending on what you choose, you want to believe, whatever idolatrous conceptions of the world that one has, including yours, right? You're just choosing this in order to suppress that which God has made you to know. Yeah, have you ever heard the expression whistling past the graveyard?
No, I've never heard of that actually.
Okay. In bygone days, before kids used to ride buses to school, they lived close enough to the schoolhouse where they all walked to school. And some of the kids would have to walk by the graveyard, right? And on a dark and stormy day, dark out, the kids get creeped out of the graveyard. So they just start whistling a happy tune to themselves to distract themselves from being creeped out by the graveyard. Well, all of these idolatrous conceptions of God throughout human history, including atheism is just another form of idolatry, right? It's
Right.
simply whistling past the graveyard. Okay. I could see if we were not talking about God, but we were talking about some other state of affairs, then nobody would object to believing in it, right? Because to deny that would lead to complete absurdity. That is why you do not believe in certain uh, conceptions of reality, because you would just say, well, that's simply absurd. It's just absurd. But you see, the denial of God, and specifically and especially the denial of the Christian God, results in complete absurdity. But the unbeliever does not want to be introspective. He doesn't want to be self-aware that his actual idolatrous system, how he sees the world, leads to complete absurdity. So he doesn't rigorously pursue that to see if that's the case. He stops short of examining his complete system to its logical conclusion or beginning point. That's why when I explain to you the issue when I question you, when you talk about the laws of physics, and say, okay, fine. No God? Okay, good. Explain to me physics without God. And you attempted to do so, and you saw that it reached a dead end, that it ends in absurdity. But you see, if you were not inclined to be rebellious toward God, once I showed you that the denial of God is absurd, then you would say, oh, well, then I have to believe in God. But then why didn't you believe in God? Because you and I and everyone else, we're all born with a sinful inclination. We want to rebel against God. You're not a tabula rasa. You're not a blank slate. And you see, this is another form of self-deception. If you read Romans 1, it talks about people suppressing the truth in unrighteousness. Okay? And this is a very specific meaning. Now, let's unpack that, right? the denial that we have a sinful attitude toward God. What do you mean? What are you talking about, sinner? I'm not. What God? I'm not rebellious toward God. That's suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. If it doesn't matter whether you're the president of the National Academy of Scientists or you're some spear chucker in an Amazonian jungle, everybody knows we're a sinner before God, but we do not want to daily remind ourselves that God is and that we're guilty sinners before God. So on a daily basis, we suppress the truth and unrighteousness. And we go, what God? Okay. Atheists actually convince themselves every day that their atheism is coherent, but it's not. I just showed you very easily, and because you're younger and you're not a hardened adult, you're more open to the truth. Okay? I just showed you that atheism is a universal negative. It is not simply an autobiographical statement of, oh, it's just a rejection of a claim. Because what is the claim that is being rejected? It is that God is the concrete universal. In other words, I can have facts without the necessity of referencing the necessity of God. Okay? Right? Right? No, spear chucker is not. It's not a slur. It can refer to people who are like Aboriginal. Okay, and I specifically said a spear chucker in the Amazonian jungle. Okay, um, so I just showed you that atheism is not simply an autobiographical statement where you reject a claim. Because what is the claim? Is it gold on Mars? Well, yeah, you can be neutral toward gold on Mars. But when it comes to God, who is characterized as the concrete universal, the ground of all being, God is characterized as the necessary precondition of the actuality and intelligibility of all facts. If you don't accept that, that is a de facto denial. It is an implicit denial, because then facts will be invoked, and then they will be invoked without referencing the necessity of God. Right? So if you say, well, I don't know if there's a God, you're presenting to me one or more facts without the necessity of referencing God. Well, that's a denial of God. So I've shown you that atheism is a universal negative. Atheism is not a position of being unpersuaded. Look, if you watch The Atheist Experience, you know who Matt Dillabloviator is?
No, maybe it sounds familiar based
Okay.
off your guys' conversation.
Yeah, he's one of the leading atheists, and he goes, "Well, atheism is just we're unconvinced." Yeah, right. And the moon is made out of green cheese. Yeah, Matt Dillabloviator. Okay, it's okay. We're fond for each other. He says I'm a transphobic douche nozzle. Okay, so I just thought I'll return the comment and just describe him accurately as Matt Dillabloviator. By the way, just for full disclosure, he's banned me from calling his show. All right. Yeah, I wonder why. So atheism, upon careful and honest examination, is simply self-annihilating, self-refuting, and a self-contradiction. Okay? And that goes for agnosticism as well. Agnosticism is just simply an indirect, implicit denial of God. So the point is this: I could sit there and tell you, oh, well, this is evidence for God, that's evidence for God. But you see, that wouldn't be accurate, because everything is evidence for God. Either everything is evidence for God or nothing's evidence for God. So when the atheist says, I'm open-minded, they have, on the Atheist Experiences, they have a sister show called Objectively Dan, or called Truth Wanted. And it says, call us, we're open-minded. Now, isn't that the best joke? An atheist is open-minded? They're making a universal negative and they claim they're open-minded. What a joke.
But then wouldn't those be characterized as agnostics if they're open-minded?
An agnostic is simply an atheist in drag. Okay? An agnostic claims it's not making a universal negative, but it is making a universal negative in its reliance on itself. In other words, one or more facts can be invoked without the necessity of referencing the necessity of God. Okay? Listen, this is what I do with agnostics and atheists. I say, are you willing to assert and start with God as the necessary precondition for the actuality and intelligibility of facts? And what does the agnostic say? No. Notice I didn't ask him, do you know? Do you believe? I said, are you willing? Are you willing to start with God? Well, no. They'll say, I would if you could prove the good. So you are unwilling to start with God. Right? That means that by implication, one or more facts are actual and have intelligibility without the necessity of referencing the necessity of God, which is an indirect, implicit denial of God.
Which is
In
what
a
I was
word,
doing.
right. So agnosticism, which is what contemporary atheism tries to rob agnosticism of what its declared position is and hide behind it, like hiding behind a Girl Scout skirt. But the fact of the matter is, they're both engaged in a universal negative. Okay. Well, let's self constantly. Actually, I'm not talking to myself constantly. We have 28 people in the room who obviously, for some reason, either because they like me or they're just gluttons for punishment, where they're listening. So I'm not talking to myself.
Yeah, we're
Now I'm
listening.
going to unmute you. Yeah, that's right.
I'm listening.
Now, so how do
Okay.
you say your name? How do you say your name again? Because you have that stupid font there.
Okay, I'm gonna switch it so it's easier.
Is that
I was
think
eating
it's
jam
Western.
and you go straight to ad hominem. It's
Is
Vesmeri.
how do you say your name, Sunshine?
Vesmeri.
Good. Now, how many people do you think can read that font?
Well, those who can read. That kind of proves points of your ad hominem. Like the
Okay.
only
Good,
thing
good,
that you can
good.
argue is
You
the
understand them?
examples.
I won't have a hard time.
Barely. Okay, good. So let's put our cards on the table. Okay, I'm a theist. I specifically I argue for the existence of God and that He has a specific property set, which is the God of the Bible. What is your model of reality?
Yeah, the thing is, I don't deny that possibility. It's like it can be true, and it also can be not.
Whistling past the Dixie.
Yeah. Let's try
because
this
you
again.
can know for
Speaking English.
certain.
Listen to me.
I think English is
Listen.
his second language, Darth.
Yeah. Speaking English. Speaking English. Here, we'll try it one more time. Maybe if I speak slowly. What is your model of reality? What is your worldview?
Spiritualism.
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 Spiritualism. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't tell me. What is it that is ultimate within your system?
You can know for certain if anything is eternal or like constant.
Yeah, dude, listen to me. You're gonna need to go to the vending machine.
Isn't that a universal
Put in a
claim?
$1.50 and get some more brain cells. I want to know, what is it that is ultimate in your world that institutes and secures all possibility and impossibility?
nothing and everything. Because
Yeah, dude, you're not going to last much longer. Instead of you giving me these bizarro responses,
That's just
okay?
a straight contradiction.
Yeah, that
Nothing is
doesn't
ultimate
mean
and
anything.
everything is ultimate.
Yeah, that's just incoherent. Now you ask me to debate. I'm bending over backwards, being patient with you. Okay. Now one more time, okay, because you're wasting my time. What is it in your system that is ultimate, absolute, the ground of all being, metaphysically primary, and institutes and secures all possibility and impossibility?
like a law of nature, if like that's the question you're or
A
answer you're
law,
looking
a
for.
law of nature.
Yeah.
What is that?
What we see around us.
Okay,
Sun
is
goes up,
is it
it goes down. It comes summer, it goes winter.
Tides come in,
The
tides go
tide.
out. You
Alright,
can't explain
okay,
that.
alright, listen,
He can't be
alright,
serious.
listen,
He can't be
Vesmer,
serious.
Vesmer, how? Okay, let's be fair. Vesmer, I'm going to ask you a question. If you don't answer it, I'm going to server mute you. Okay? How old are you?
23, like you last time asked.
Okay, all right, yeah. Oh, well, let me check my notebook, okay? Because I wrote down there that the ever genius Vesper is 23 years old.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay,
Do you know why I asked you how old you are?
So you can ad hom him?
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Basically, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Learn what an ad hom is. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's going against
Vesper, hold on a
of
second.
his traits.
To the other. Wait a second. Okay?
Anemi. That's who said it.
Okay. Now, Anemi, learn what an ad hominem is. Okay. Clown face. Okay. An insult or a criticism or an evaluation is not an ad hom. Okay. If he gave me a line of reasoning and I said, well, what you're saying is false because you're a slob, okay, or what you're saying is false because you never went to college, that would be an ad hom, okay, Animi?
Okay, let me ask for you.
Now, the reason why I asked you how
Or
old you are, the reason why I ask you how old you are is because you're giving me the kind of responses that I would expect from a 15-year-old, not a 23-year-old.
Okay, can you let me ask one question from you?
What is it? Listen to me carefully. What is it that is singularly ultimate? Notice the key word singular, because you cannot have multiple things that are ultimate. Because if you appeal to an eternal array of pluralities, then you have a chance world. So what is it that is singularly ultimate?
Time.
The word, okay, dude, I can't take you seriously, okay? Time just simply is a conceptual, okay, get you're a moron.
Yeah, he's in.
I just can't take stupidity on full display, okay?
Time.
Hey, Matt, check your, yes, Matt. Dart, check your DMs.
Who was speaking? Danger Dan?
No, that wasn't me. That was someone else. But I mean, I guess I send you DMs as well. But
it's spoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for the Danger
Dan.
Dan. Hold on a second. Thank you for the note, Danger Dan. That was very nice of you. Listen, we didn't agree on a lot of stuff, but I do want to thank you. I think you tried to approach the situation as intelligently as possible, and you did it, I think, at least somewhat in good faith, and you weren't being deceitful. And I appreciate that, because most of the atheists that I deal with are completely disingenuous and deceitful, and you weren't.
Or bitter.
well, I appreciate that, man. Well, hopefully, I'll research a little bit, get some more knowledge on this, and be back for round 2.
Absolutely,
Sure.
that's awesome.
Yeah, we welcome you back because you have a good attitude. You're not deceitful.
I like when you have conversations with guys like that, because then we understand more.
Yeah, because he hasn't inculcated deceit. Okay. that's why it was a pleasure to talk with him.
That was awesome.
How do you like that? What is it that's ultimate? Time. Well, wait a minute. Time is temporality. By definition, it can't be eternal. You see how dumb that guy is?
You know what? It's even funnier. Aziz the other day was really showing how Christianity is false and how Islam is true. I don't think he'll have the guts to debate you, though.
Well, didn't you hear my refutation of Allah regarding being personal, Aziz?
He's trying to egg me on tonight, but I'm not taking the bait.
Okay,
Why
well,
not,
you know,
Aziz?
listen, it's not very complicated. It's actually pretty simple. That being relational is an aspect of being personal, right? You
Aziz.
can't disassociate being relational from being personal. So, does Allah possess the quality or attribute of being relational in eternity past?
Could you define relational for me?
Yeah, it means the capacity and exercise of relating to another person. Being personal includes that you have cognition, a mind, a will, emotions, and the quality and exercise of relating to another person. So so did Allah possess the sub attribute of being relational within his attribute of being personal in eternity past?
Okay, if an agent has the ability to communicate with us, would you say that agent is
You're not
relational?
answering my question. Did Allah possess being, not the potential, but being relational in eternity past?
I would venture to say yes.
Good. What person did he relate to?
I would say that the ability does not require the.
No, we're not talking about potentiality. We're talking about actuality. Okay? When we say that you're relational, okay, it means that it's not just a potentiality, but at least some actuality, right? Right? So for example, suppose some guy, I don't know, just trying to think of an appropriate analogy. Suppose hypothetically that some baby is dropped off on a remote island somewhere and is raised by, baboons, okay? And let's say, just for the sake of argument, that they let's say they develop normally in terms of cognition, which that would happen. They would actually be brain damaged, okay? Um, but never had contact during their entire span of life with any other person. Could we say that they actualized being relational? The answer is no. Okay? To possess the attribute of being relational is not simply mere potentiality. If Allah had never created, could he exemplify the sub attribute of being relational? Let me repeat the question. If Allah had chosen not to create, could he have actualized his relationalness?
I would say no. I would say it would be a
Good.
potentiality,
All
but
right.
it wouldn't be an
So
actuality.
a part of Allah's personality is not perfect. It's incomplete. Allah does not possess the relational aspect or attribute, which is a sub part of being personal.
I would say he possesses it, but he didn't
No, no,
actualize it.
no, he doesn't. He's not relational. He doesn't possess it because it's not actualized.
Actualization is not a necessary condition, in my view, for to be relational.
No. How can you be relational and if there's never anyone to relate to?
So I would argue.
Okay,
Okay, before
listen,
the
you're dodging the question. Imagine a possible world where Allah freely chose not to create. Is Allah complete, adequate, and perfect within his own being without creation?
yes,
Okay. Is he maximally and fully personal in all its aspects?
I would say yes.
Good. Is being relational a sub area of being personal? Is it a sub attribute of the attribute of being personal?
Okay, let me think about that for a sec.
How can he be relational if there's nothing to relate to?
That's the problem. You see, right now, he's experiencing what is two things. One is cognitive dissonance, and the other is a resistance to falsification because it has been indoctrinated into him that Allah is the one true God and Muhammad is his final prophet. Okay? And
Yes, that is correct.
and if you come, what's that?
Sorry, that's correct.
Yeah. And if what I say is a defeater for Allah, then he's going to have to come to the conclusion that all of his Muslim relatives or ancestors or fellow citizens, that they're all a part of a gigantic cult. That would necessarily follow, wouldn't it, Aziz?
If what you said was true.
Right. That's right. If. Okay. Now, this is one of the biggest psychological obstacles to getting through to people who are in cults, because it's not just the doctrinal errors. It's overcoming people wanting to recognize that the system is false. Now, Muhammad was illiterate.
Correct.
Muhammad did not know much about theology then, or what we know about theological distinctives now, including philosophical distinctives. We happen to
Correct.
live in an amazing, I think in this time in human history, we're both blessed and cursed. Okay. We have such an abundance of distractions against God, but there is such a wealth of truth theologically about God that is at our fingertips. Now, Muhammad, I mean, there's so many problems with Muhammad. It isn't funny that Muslims I just go to some of these apologetic sites that just totally destroy Islam. But I'm showing you that Allah is claimed by Islam to be perfect in all of his properties and attributes. He is not incomplete in terms of his attributes. Allah is not in any way deficient or inadequate or in need of possessing his attributes to their fullest. Does Allah possess personalness to its fullest in eternity past?
And by eternity past, he means before anything was created.
Logically prior to creation.
I would say yes, because my
Okay,
definition
hold
is
on.
different than yours.
Hold on 1 second. Now, if this is proof positive here that Vesmer is a troll. Look at what he just posted. Okay.
Oh God. Here comes
Okay.
the Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah. At least my insults are substantive. Your insult is not. Okay. And we're done with you. Okay. You know what I
Back
would
to what you were
expect
saying.
that. Yeah, I would expect that from a 15-year-old. Okay. Now, so
I sort of expect a father to love his son no matter what, but here we are.
what does that mean?
It means you abused your LGBT son.
Yeah, dude, you got the wrong room here. Where this is not a room for trolling. Now, you were in here yesterday. Do you want me to ban you from coming in here? All right. I mean, if you want to seriously challenge me, okay, go ahead, right? But if you want to troll, I'll just mute you and I'll ban you from the room.
He wishes he could debate against the transcendental
I
argument, but he can't.
I don't think you could last 5 minutes intellectually disagreeing with me. That's why you
Just
troll.
like how your son couldn't last 5 minutes against the belt.
Right. Well,
So
you can laugh all you want. Where did you get the idea that I'm guilty of domestic violence? Where'd you get that from?
It's just the fact that you abused your gay son, whether
Okay,
verbally or physically.
where did you get that from?
Doesn't matter. You did it.
And how do you know that?
I just know it. Just trust me on that.
How do you know it?
It's
No, I'm
on
waiting.
the
Listen.
true.
Notice. I haven't kicked you from the room. I haven't muted you. I've actually treated you with more respect than you actually deserve. You're coming in here trying to defame me. Now, the reason why I can, in good conscience, ask you that question is because I know I've never been guilty of domestic violence. Okay. Now, where did you get this? Did you get this off of some rumor page off of the internet?
Are you talking about
cookie?
Listen, I'm asking.
Andrew?
Listen, I'm
talking
asking
about
you a
Andrew,
serious
right?
question. I'm asking you a
Gary.
serious question.
Gary,
I'm
you're giving a
asking
serious
you a
answer.
serious
Gary,
question.
Gary,
Where? Okay. Do you want? Do I
I'm
have to mute
asking-
you?
I'm giving you a
Do I
serious
have to mute
answer.
you?
Gary.
I'm giving you an
Gary.
opportunity to defend yourself. Okay, so
I'm
you
trying
don't
to
want to have an
He's a
defend
insult.
socialist.
Okay,
He can't
all
be
right.
reasoned with.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah, you're trying to
Um,
reason with him, Darth. You can't reason with
yeah,
the.
you see.
person.
Okay, listen.
Fortune cookie.
Listen. Let nobody say that I bent over backwards. I mean, this guy is clearly a scumbag. He's clearly trying to slander and defame me, and I'm like, okay, where'd you get this from? Okay.
Well, what he's doing is he's bearing false witness.
Well, of course he is. Okay.
That's one.
And you see, he made slanderous and defamatory remarks. Did he get muted right away? No. So where'd you get that from? Did you get that off the interweb? You know where you got that from? Okay. I'll tell you where you got it from. I'm going to mute you for a moment. Okay. I don't want to have to mute you again. Okay. And I mean that sincerely. Do you know where the idea originated from that I was guilty of domestic violence and specifically against one of my children? Do you know where it originated from, Nash?
Was it your wife?
No.
He doesn't care.
No. You see, everybody in the room knows that you're a troll, but I'm bending over backwards being patient with you. Now, that accusation originated with the psychopath godless girl.
It wasn't your wife, Carol Snow, that divorced you in 2012?
Okay, listen to me very carefully, okay? Godless girl was the psychopath on the internet. She is somebody who has repeatedly confessed to having lifelong mental problems, social conflicts, conflicts with family members, and conflicts with the law, okay? These are all her own public confessions. That is the origination of this rumor that I've committed domestic violence against one of my children. Okay? There is no record in any law books that there's been domestic violence. Okay? Because it never happened.
Well, it
Okay?
doesn't have to be recorded in a law book for it to have happened.
Where did you get your information that I committed domestic violence against one of my children? Where did you get that?
An interview with your wife?
Okay, that's a lie.
It's not.
Really? What interview with my wife? Okay, what? There is none where I'm guilty of domestic violence. None. It doesn't exist. All you're simply doing is you are repeating the defamatory and slanderous and libelous remarks that originated from a small cult group headed by Jack Angstrike and his acolytes. Okay? One of his acolytes is a guy by the name of Sidney Winston. Have you ever heard that name, Nash?
I have not.
Okay, he's one of the people that is posting stuff on the internet that is simply false. Okay?
Okay, so
Okay.
you're saying
Anyway,
godless.
listen to me. We're almost done here because I think that your conduct so far is just simply egregious as a human being. That you're willing to come in. Listen to me. You're willing to come in on the internet because you have anonymity. Okay. I want to ask you a simple question. I want to ask you a simple question. Okay. I want to ask you a simple question.
Sure.
If we were in a closed room, right?
Yeah.
And there were no cameras.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
And you felt that I had the capacity to kick your ass and I could get away with it. Would you talk to me this way?
Absolutely.
You're a liar.
I would
Good.
run
give us
faith
your
with
address
you.
right now.
Okay.
I
Give us
would
your
run
address
faith
and name.
with you, faggot.
Yeah.
Give
Okay,
us your
listen,
address and name right now.
Dude, we're done. Okay. You're just one of many scumbags on the internet who, because you don't like what I say, okay? See, and you're even an atheist, okay? Because you don't like the fact that I eviscerate atheists, okay? This is why you come in here and you defame me without any basis. Let me explain something to you. If I was actually guilty of domestic violence, I would admit it and say, you know what? I did something wrong. But no such event ever happened. Okay? Okay? And you got it. You got this idea that I committed domestic violence against one of my children. It is historically rooted in godless girl making this accusation over and over and over again, okay, on the internet and on social networks, pal talk.
He's obviously, because he's a solid atheist, can't deal with the argument.
Yeah. Now, what I want to ask you is, it says you're listed as an atheist. Now, Are you aware that atheism is a universal negative?
No, it's not.
Okay, well, actually, it is. Okay.
Okay.
Now, are you unwilling to start with God with respect that facts can be invoked without the necessity of referencing the necessity of God? Are you unwilling to start with God?
I'm unwilling to assert what you just said.
No. Are you unwilling to assert the necessity of referencing the necessity of God?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
that is not a negative claim.
Yes, it is.
No, it literally is not.
Listen, let Nash, listen to me. I have been above and beyond the call of duty, patient with your scumbaggery and your slander and your defamation. But I will not be patient with your sophistry and your just simply contrarianness, okay? That I will not be patient for. Now, let me explain to you. In a world where God exists, all facts would necessitate referencing the necessity of God in that scenario. So do you understand that scenario?
I want to go back to this idea.
If you evade my question, you will be server muted and ejected from the room.
Okay,
and
I won't
I will
debate any
then
more
I will
questions.
put then I will put a ban, and you will have to come in under a different name, and you have a recognizable voice. Now,
thank you.
I haven't banned you yet. Any number of the other Christians in here would have done so already if you had slandered and defamed them like you have me here today. Now, in a world where God is, all facts would necessitate referencing the necessity of God. Now, do you understand that particular model?
Yes.
Okay. In a world without God, all facts would not necessitate referencing the necessity of God. Okay?
Yes.
So when you say, I am unwilling to start with God, I will not assert the necessity of referencing the necessity of God. That is what we call an implicit de facto denial of God. A denial of God need not entail an explicit denial. It can be an indirect, implicit denial. Okay? Now, do you want to deny that there can be an implicit denial?
There is such thing as implicit denial, yes.
Good, good. So when you say, I refuse, I will not assert that facts necessitate referencing the necessity of God, that is an implicit, indirect denial of God. What you are saying by such a declaration is that one or more facts, all right, can be actual and intelligible without the necessity of referencing God. That's your position. Are we clear?
I didn't say that, but sure.
No. Okay. Do you invoke one or more facts by choice without referencing the necessity of God?
I'm sorry, can you restate the question?
When you invoke one or more facts, do you assert that facts can be invoked without the necessity of referencing God?
No.
So then facts do necessitate referencing God?
I don't assert that.
No, which is your position? When you invoke facts, do you assert the necessity of God, or do you refuse to assert the necessity of God?
I don't do either.
That's simply false. There's no neutrality.
Can I
Either
explain?
listen to me clearly. No, listen to me clearly.
Okay.
Either a fact is standalone with reference to God, or a fact is not standalone with reference to God.
Correct.
Are you stating facts without reference to God?
I am not asserting that facts
No,
necessarily.
listen to me carefully. I'm going to give you this last warning. I was above and beyond the call of patient when you defamed and slandered me, but I will not be patient if you lie to me. Okay?
Okay.
Now, when you affirm one or more facts, whatever they are they presented, are they invoked without referencing the necessity of God?
Yes.
Good. That is an indirect denial of God.
Okay, so can I
Are we
explain-
clear? Are we clear? You are saying indirectly and by implication that facts can be viable without referencing the necessity of God. That, sir, is a denial of God. Are we clear?
Yes.
Good. So you're making a universal negative.
Yes.
Good. Now, how in a world without God can you have acquisition and apprehension of anything that is universal? Do you have that capacity?
To acquire and apprehend a universal?
Yeah. In a world without God, okay, because your position is that your position is the falsity of God. It's a universal negative, okay? It doesn't matter whether the universal negative is explicit or implicit, but I appreciate that you're being truthful here, now admitting that your atheism is a universal negative. Your atheism is not simply a lack of belief in God. Your atheism is an indirect, implicit denial of God. Therefore, it's a universal negative. Okay? This is not controversial. This is not something that atheists should run away from. Okay? You should be emboldened in declaring your universal negative. Now, your position is a universal negative. Okay? So there's no dispute about that. Now, how in your God-free world do you have the acquisition and apprehension of any universal?
Can you clarify the question?
Yeah. How are you able to know that anything is universal?
How do I know anything is universal?
Yeah.
I don't.
Good. You have now refuted atheism. What you just admitted, self-annihilated atheism.
I don't see how.
Well, then I'll have to go through it for you again.
Okay.
Atheism is a universal negative.
Okay.
Good. Do you have the capacity to know and establish that anything is universal?
Do I have the capacity to know?
Yeah. Do you know that anything is universal?
Do I personally know for like to a 100%?
Do you know? Is there a justified? Do you have a justification for the positive attitude toward any universal?
I do have justification.
Good. Can you please tell me by what means can you know anything is universal?
The laws of nature and physics.
Okay. Are you omniscient?
No.
Good. What is it then that institutes and secures what you deem to be regularities?
Because the laws of physics and nature are eternal, they are ontologically secure.
Right. Okay. So they are eternal. So then are the laws of nature ultimate?
Yes.
Okay. So what we have is a plurality of ultimacies, not a singular ultimacy. Is that correct?
It's kind of both.
No, wrong. Which is it? Is there something that is singularly ultimate, or is it a plurality? Each individually, independently of themselves, are ultimate.
So the question is it a concrete one or a plural many?
Here's the problem. You're so accustomed to dealing with non-intelligent presuppositionalists, none of your atheist cliches, scripts, or sloganism will work here.
I'm not using any.
That's why you're hemming and hawing in the answers, because you're afraid. You are actually afraid, and everybody can hear it in your responses, of answering the question truthfully, because you know that I have a hammer to drop on anything you say.
I'm anxious to hear how he determined the laws of nature.
Now, I want to know. Okay, when you say that there is a plurality that is ultimate, then there's no unifier. There's nothing singularly that is unifying, that is ultimate, that institutes the plurality of regularities. So you've already admitted that there is not a singular ultimate, right?
Well, I said that it has both qualities of concrete one.
No. Okay, good. And how did you ascertain that?
Ontologically.
Yeah, how? That's it. Listen to me. What you're giving to me right now is philosophical gobbledygook. You know that you're not fooling me, and you know you're not fooling anyone. That doesn't mean anything.
So
how do you know? How do you know? Okay. What is that singular ultimate? What is that unifier, sir? What is the concrete universal?
Oh, location in space-time.
Did time and space begin?
Did time and space begin? No, not in the traditional sense.
And how do you know this?
How do I know this?
Yeah.
Because time and space are eternal.
How do you know that?
How do I know time and space are eternal?
Yeah.
You know time and space are eternal because nothingness is inherently self-contradictory.
Yeah. Now you're speaking gobbledygook. Okay. Do you know who Sebastian Maniscalco is?
I'm not familiar with that name. No.
Okay. He's an Italian stand-up comedian. His shtick is always to ask audience members, "Aren't you embarrassed?" I'm going to ask you a sincere question. Do you think you're fooling me by your last answer?
That's loaded.
That's not a loaded question. What would be the premise that would be objectionable?
Of the question?
So you're not trying to fool me by throwaway phrases?
No.
Good. Explain to me how you know what is ultimate. Singularly ultimate. What is the concrete universal? How do you know of it?
So the concrete universal is the laws of nature and
No,
physics.
no, sir. Sir, listen to me. The concrete universal will be something that is singular, not plural.
Space-time.
No, space-time began.
Not in the traditional sense. There's
And
no
how do you know that?
Well, because there's no point it went from a state
How
of existence to a state of existence.
How do you know? How do you know that that's eternal? By what means?
Because it exists for all time. Because time is created.
That's circular. How do you know that?
How do I know that it existed for all time?
Yeah, dude, listen to me. Listen. Everyone in the room knows how ridiculous you're being. You are like a drowning man telling the lifeguard you're not drowning. You're literally philosophically drowning. You're humiliating yourself. And I'm not saying that to put you down. You literally are humiliating yourself with these responses. Now, how do you know that anything is eternal?
Because
I just see
time ontologically must be eternal.
that's a contradiction. Listen, dude, listen to me. That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Time is another word for temporality. Time is the converse of eternal. Do you realize what landmine you just stepped into?
I feel like you're bearing false witness by talking.
Okay,
about
we're done. You see, we're done now. Okay, you start off coming in here defaming me because you're a punk, because you're a troll. I should have ejected you and muted you and banned you, but I didn't. I confronted you with your slander and your defamation, and you have no embarrassment about defaming another human being. Okay, you have no grounds. Excuse me. You have no grounds upon which to make those accusations. But you sit there like a cocky little scumbag punk, gleefully defaming another human being, knowing full well you have no objective grounds for making that slanderous statement. And you do so gleefully. Okay? But then when I even am gracious and ignore your disgusting behavior, right? And then I ask
his
you
evil behavior.
Yeah, your evil behavior. But then when I ask you about your position as an atheist, I get you cornered, and all you start doing, yeah, Vesmer, if you don't stop with your stupid memes, I'm going to put you in the mental ward. Okay? Right? Now, your answers are just completely, and I'm not saying this to throw you under the bus, your answers are completely idiotic. They're just gobbledygook. They're just throwaway phrases. Are you omniscient?
Me, no.
Okay, then how can you know that anything is eternal?
Are you omniscient?
Okay, no.
How do you know that anything is eternal?
Because the God of the Bible is omniscient and he's a revelatory God, and he's constructed a world in such a way for me to know, both through natural and special revelation, that he is the eternal that instituted the temporal. That's how I know.
So
now, since you're not omniscient, you could be wrong about what you say is eternal, right? Could you be wrong about that?
could I mean, I guess if we defined time.
Okay, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. You have no philosophical grounds. Without resorting to gobbledygook responses, you have no philosophical grounds upon which to justify any statement of universality. None whatsoever. You're just making naked assertions that I mean, you even went so far as to say that temporality is what is eternal, which is a contradiction in terms.
How is that a contradiction in terms?
Because because what is temporal is defined as having begun to exist. By definition, that which is eternal does not begin to exist. So what you have just, listen carefully, okay? When you say that time is what is eternal, this is a contradiction in terms. It's like saying it's a square triangle. So here's the bottom line. You have no rational grounds, instead of giving me throwaway gobbledygook responses that nobody in here, there's nobody who takes you seriously. You don't even take yourself seriously. You know you're giving me throwaway phrases, and so do I, and everyone else in the room does. Now, your atheism is a universal negative, but you have no grounds upon which to make universal statements.
But can I just talk about that contradiction real quick?
How are you able to have acquisition of any universal state?
Yes, that's no.
Answer the question or we're done.
I'm sorry, restate the question. How can I acquisition?
How do you have acquisition, and how do you attest? On what grounds other than by mysticism or arbitrariness do you assert that anything is universal?
The laws of physics and nature.
No, that's just a restatement of a universality. How do you know that they're universal? And by the way, universal. What is the concrete universal that institutes that plurality?
Space-time.
Yeah, that what you're appealing to now is what is eternal is temporal. That's a contradiction in terms.
So
Did you okay, we're done. We're done. You're just a lying scumbag. See you later.
Unbelievable. Why do you put up with this stuff? You should have blocked him a while ago.
Because I want to demonstrate to people that I'm just not always unhinged. Okay, I confronted it with his defamation and his slander. He's just a vile, disgusting punk that he's willing to defame somebody else who he doesn't like based upon internet rumors from a small cult group of miscreants, known trolls. By the way, the other atheists on Discord and on the internet know that this cult group, that they're just a bunch of miscreant trolls. They're not liked by other atheists. The only time other atheists like this cult group is because they like the fact that they're trolling me and some other Christians. But these people are not liked. You know why? Is because this small cult group, they're elitist. They think they're smarter than everybody else. Their fellow atheists don't even like them.
Is Godless Girl part of this group?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
She's one of the three stooges. Okay.
Her and Strike and
her skanky boyfriend.
Okay.
Josh. Or the
Yeah,
realistic nihilist.
Yeah, realistic.
And you see, my mistake is I keep on commenting on it. What I should do is not comment on them all. But people will say, "Oh, I'm a coward." No, I'm not. I just confronted one of my accusers here. Okay, and he's a client. Listen, you were kicked from the room, Nash. I'm kicking you again. Don't come back in, or I'll type the bot command to ban you, and then you'll have to sneak in under another account. Listen, does anybody think that this little punk, that if we were in a closed room, would talk trash this to me when there's no cameras in there?
Absolutely. Yeah, probably.
No. Okay. Yeah. It's Culver. Yeah, you're gone. Yeah. These trolls are never ending. Isn't it amazing? They are never ending. Okay.
Now back to where we were.
Yeah. Okay.
We were talking about Islam, and Aziz, you had asked him a question. I can't remember what the question was. It was about.
Yeah. Okay. So, I apologize for that distraction, but I think at least sometimes I should confront these slanderous pigs. Okay. All right.
Duncan, I know sometimes I can't.
Yeah. Let me just listen. Let me just explain this. Okay. I love each and one of my family members, and I have never been violent toward them. And these internet rumors they're just simply disgusting. Okay. These people who hurl around these defamatory and slanderous, and in some cases libelous remarks. And by the way, the people who are committing the libel are doing so from Canada. Okay. Where they're posting anonymous information to internet servers where they can't be identified and sued. Okay. This is what scumbags these people are. Okay. I've never been domestically violent toward any of my family members, and the people who are fomenting this slanderous information know nothing of the details of my background information, nothing at all, or my family situation. They think they know, they don't. Now, if I was the character to really want to defend myself, I could easily do this by throwing certain family members under the bus, but I'm not even going to do that, okay? Because I love my family members, right? And I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus that's a close family member, okay? Even to defend myself.
Oh, that's smart, though.
Now, Aziz, and you know what? I shouldn't have even said that, okay?
True.
You know, I shouldn't have said that. But I said it. Okay, so Aziz, so does Allah possess personalness to its fullest in eternity past?
I would argue yes.
Okay. If one is personal to its fullest, does that entail the actualizing of a relationalness?
I don't believe it does. In my worldview, it does not.
Of course you don't. Do you know why? Because you know that if you say yes, then Allah has been falsified. Isn't that true? If you say yes, Allah has been falsified, right?
I have to think about that. But Duncan,
if you listen to me, if personalness entails, if one possesses personalness to its maximum, where it is complete, not deficient, perfect, okay, then that's going to include being relational. Can you be relational at all without it being actualized?
So Duncan, I typed up a response to
I'll
your question.
repeat the question again. Can one be relational without it being actualized?
Would you be willing to read my comment and then
Can
comment about
somebody be relational without it being actualized?
that? Yes.
How?
I will answer with a question.
Relational to what?
Relational requires
To whom? No, that's right. Can Allah be relational when he's the only person in eternity past? Can you be relational in isolation?
You cannot actualize relationality.
Can you be relational in isolation?
You cannot actualize it. But
Okay, bye-bye. We're done. See you later. We're done. That's the last time he's gonna dodge. Okay.
Unbelievable, man. They just refuse to answer a straight up question. And it's so stupid. Look up the dictionary definition of relational. How can you even stand there and say that?
Yeah, you cannot be relational without it being actualized. If there's no actualization, there's no relationalness.
Is Allah is dependent on humanity.
So
on creation.
Muslims are going to be forced to ad hoc maneuvers to avoid the falsification of Allah. Okay, because what they can't get away from it is because the Quran over and over again extols the perfection of Allah, that He is complete, He is perfect, He is not lacking. Okay? Now, all I have to do is ask him, does Allah possess personalness to its fullness? Is he lacking in any way in terms of being personal? They're going to have to say no. Now, then they're going to have to say that being relational is not a sub-attribute of being personal. But that would just be asinine.
Okay,
So then they're
that
going to have
part.
to say, in an ad hoc maneuver that being relational is simply just it being, you can possess relationalness to its maximum merely in its potentiality.
Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah. Okay. So
Potentiality thing.
yeah, it means that it's potential, not actual. Okay. Look, there are some people out in the United States who, unbeknownst to them, had they pursued an acting career, they had the potential and the capacity to be a major motion picture actor or actress and win an Oscar.
Okay.
Right? They had that potential, but it was never actualized. Right?
All right. So it's not
Right?
something. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a difference between having it potential but not actualized. Right? Now, being relational cannot be described as a potentiality, because being relational is defined in terms of its being actualized.
You need a
Listen,
relationship.
yeah. So, like, for example, can Allah be the creator in eternity past? The answer is no, because you can only be creator if it's actualized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You cannot be the creator potentially. You can only be creator when it's actualized. Okay? Hey, Pedo.
He's a
Earth
troll.
to Pedo. Pido, whatever your name is.
Just mute him.
Are you having a problem with your ventilator?
Oh, hey, man. No, this is Joy, man. See what happens? Some fucker.
Okay, you are I'll tell you, this guy is as dumb as a bag of rocks.
Is he drunk all the time?
Oh my gosh. Well, he's either drunk or he's I won't go on. Okay. So in my view, okay. Oh, and by the way, just to let you guys know, let's look at the death count, because the atheists are going to have an orgiastic party when the death count goes over 30,000. Okay, let's take a look.
That's a good point. There was a guy here yesterday coming in here, and everybody defended you, going, bro, he never guaranteed this is going to happen. He said that's what he would bet on. Like, he would, think that it might be that, but you could be wrong. And the guy wouldn't accept it. It's like,
Okay, so the death count now is at 28,554. Okay, which with current trends, it'll probably now definitely go over 30,000. And when I was asked on the spot, I wasn't going around making this pontification. I was put on the spot. Give me a figure. Give me a figure. I said, I don't know, 25, 30,000. Okay. The guy goes, no, it's going to be 60,000. Like, oh, okay. I said, I don't think it'll peak 25 to 30,000. Okay. And now the atheists are all ready to throw a party when it hits 30,001. This is what sick people they are. Okay.
does anybody believe China only has 3,300 deaths?
Well, the interesting thing though is this, and I'm not trying to.
Oh, I believe it. The Chinese government is very honorable.
that was racist. No, listen, this is not an ad hoc maneuver to get away with the number that I predicted. Okay, clearly it's going to be an error, by tomorrow, next day. But we do know that if somebody dies in a hospital, okay, and they test positive for the coronavirus, they're putting it down as corona deaths. So we don't know how many people actually died from the corona, because anybody who dies in a hospital who tests positive for the coronavirus, they're attributing it to the corona. And this is a problem with stats. And no, I'm not trying an ad hoc maneuver, okay? Okay, so anyway, we're talking about
Darth,
Um,
you're executing an ad hoc maneuver to prevent your prediction from being falsified.
Yeah, I was put on the spot. Give me a number. Give me a number. Give me. I'm like, I don't know, 25, 30,000. Okay, you know.
You're trying
So,
to
in
insulate
retrospect,
Corona.
How many do they have
In-
anywhere
in
where you
rec-
could find out of the 28,000 deaths? It's how many are in New York?
well, the plurality of them are in New York. Yeah.
That's what I'd like to know, the actual number, just to see how bad.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just.
I'd be curious to see how many actually
It's
died in-
11,500 in New York.
Whew, that's a lot.
Did the death toll? Did the
Okay.
death toll
Yeah,
jump?
3,000
that
in New
1,000?
Jersey, 1,100 in Massachusetts, 1,900 in Michigan, 889 in California. Okay. Louisiana has 1,000. Okay. The reason why it's so high in New York State is because there's a huge Chinese immigrant population in New York City. That's why.
Mm.
It would
Okay?
be
That's
interesting.
That's why the death count is so high in New York State. Why don't we see the death count so high in many other states? Because in southern New York, they have one of the highest concentrations of not only immigrant Chinese, but tourist Chinese as well.
It'd be interesting to see how many people that died were already in the hospital.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure
the thing is, just because you have the coronavirus and you develop some symptoms and you die, it doesn't mean that you're dying of the coronavirus, but they're going to put that down in the statistics. Okay. And no, I'm not trying to escape the figure that I picked at, that I was asked on the spur of the moment to pick out, you know. But I mean, isn't it kind of just how sick these people are? Because I picked a number off the top of my head when somebody just said, give me a number, give me a number. And then when it goes over 30,001, you're going to see Darth videos. Darth's prediction is wrong. These people need to get a life. Anyway, so being relational is not something is potential. You can only be relational if it's actualized. The same thing with being creator. The same thing with being sovereign. Okay? God is not sovereign potentially. Okay? He's only sovereign when it's actualized. Now God is omnipotent from eternity. Okay? But he's not sovereign from eternity or an eternity past. So the point I'm trying to point out here is that the Trinity solves numerous philosophical and theological problems where God is relational in eternity past because of each of the members of the Trinity. But you see, Muhammad didn't understand this. I didn't even understand this until recently, until I started studying it more in depthly, a little bit of theology. And I'm no theology scholar, but Muhammad didn't know any of this crap. Right? And so he's extolling how, in a state of historical ignorance, the Muslim think, oh, Allah, he's perfect in all his ways. Good. Is he perfect? Is his personalness perfect? Is it without lack? Does he possess the character quality of personalness to its maximum and its fullest? And you see, then they're in trouble and say, well, yeah. Say, okay, how is Allah relational in eternity past? Then they have to do an ad hoc maneuver. They have to say that being relational is exemplified and in terms of its potentiality and not its actualization. Wrong. If Allah never created, would he have been relational? No.
What if they just bite the bullet and say he wasn't relational in eternity past until he created? Just like he wasn't creator until he created.
Then his attribute of being personal is incomplete.
Well, what if they
It
reject that and say, well, that's just an additional property that was added on. That's an accidental
no, no,
property.
no, no, no. Then what? Then they're trying to. Then they're trying. Then how can you be relational, being disconnected from being personal? Being relational is an aspect or a sub attribute of being personal.
I know even some Jews who reject that personal attribute.
Yeah, they have to because they're
The,
mono.
But where do you get
the
it?
point is, listen, the point is, like, if you watch David Wood videos, I mean, this guy is a master at just debunking Islam. And it's just, it's not just the Muslims, it's people in any cult teaching, okay, whether it's atheism, Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, Buddhism, Hinduism. People believe what they want to believe come hell or high water. And hell is coming, by the way. Right?
Oh yeah, this guy. I've just looked up the guy you said, David Wood, and he's got here the corruption of the Quran. A question no Muslim can answer. Be wrong. Yeah, this is good stuff. It's good, great website.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Duncan, I have a response.
David Wood is amazing in his apologetics against Islam.
Glad you mentioned that, so people can go look at the lies of Islam.
Yeah, David Wood. Yeah, he just
Hey,
recently
Duncan.
debated Matt Dillabloviator.
Hey, is my mic alright? I just had a question.
It sounds like you're in the third empty stall in the bathroom at McDonald's, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, so when you say actualized, do you mean like demonstrated?
Well, let's say we have hold on a second. Aziz, you put a crying locale next to David Wood? You don't think that David Wood is a preeminent apologist against Islam? Aziz?
Dr. James White doesn't think so.
On what grounds?
Who
on
did
the
you
grounds
say?
of the video I just posted.
Okay. Okay, so he doesn't like the mocking. So what?
Yeah, he just doesn't like the guy mocks them. That's all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I have a
James
counter to your
White,
argument.
James White, is more cerebral and academic, but David Wood I believe he has a PhD in religion. Okay.
That's true.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that what you're pointing out here is James White disagreement is not with the content of criticism, but the style.
Well, from
Okay.
what I'm reading, he's also disagreeing with the content because he's saying that it could be applied to the Bible, so it's an inconsistent method.
I don't agree with that. You can't mock the Bible.
Yeah, but in the way that he critiques certain hadith out of context, it says that it could backfire because of the method that he uses. It could also be applied on the Bible.
All right. Well, you know what? I will watch this video.
I mean, that's
I'll
just
watch it. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right, hold on. I got to switch my headset.
Okay, somebody say something.
Yeah, your sound is pretty weird.
All right, hold on.
FM radio.
Oh, he left.
Yeah, how's my mic? Because if it's bad, I'll just restart my computer.
Nah, your mic's good. It's not bad.
Fine.
Alright.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that video into consideration and I'll watch that.
Darth,
I
your
still
microphone
believe
is a
that.
bit off.
What?
You sound a bit off.
It's the wrong mic, Darth.
Darth, you sound about 20 years younger.
How about now?
No, still the wrong
No,
one.
you sound like you're using a walkie-talkie.
He's discovered the fountain of youth.
Darth Dawkins communicating to us from the International Space Station.
How about now?
It's the
No.
same. Go back to your
Yeah.
other microphone.
Okay, so Zealot, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah, your mic is still a bit weird though.
How about it for everybody else?
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
Sound
that's-
different.
We can
Yeah,
understand
that's
you. You
bad.
just sound like
Yeah, we
20
can.
years younger.
What it usually is.
I don't understand this because I just let me just see. Hold on.
It was fine before, like before you left and
It
stuff.
just sounds like FM radio Darth.
All right, hold
You sound. I'll just put it like that.
All right, it should be working now.
I mean, we can hear you, but it's still bad quality.
Yeah, nope.
It's no big
I
deal.
don't
But
understand why this is not right.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
I see the problem now.
What is it?
All right, should be working now.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the problem?
It's a glitch with Discord that if you switch from one headphone to another, the wireless one, Discord glitches out. Okay, it's a problem with, and you have to make sure that the microphone input in the Discord setting is synchronized with the microphone input on the computer. Okay, so Zealot.
Yeah.
Is Allah perfect?
yes,
Is he lacking in any of his attributes?
no.
Is one of Allah's attributes being personal?
You see, that's the thing. Where do you get this word? Like, you can say that he's
Yeah,
a being.
dude, listen
why
to me very
personal?
carefully. Listen very carefully. If you dodge, okay, you're going to be done.
Gone.
Okay. Now, is Allah a personal or an impersonal entity?
He's personal, but
Good. That's all I need to know. Now, does he possess the attribute of being personal to its maximum and its fullest, or is his personal characteristics deficient and incomplete?
well, yeah. I mean, he's a being. You can say he's a person if you want.
Yeah, dude. Last warning. Dodge again, and we'll be done. I'll move on to somebody else. Now, does Allah possess the attribute of being personal to its fullest and maximum, or is his attribute of being personal incomplete and not perfect?
I mean, I would say he has to be perfect, right? So it has to be
Good,
complete.
good. Now, is being relational a sub part of being personal?
Well, if I not necessarily. I mean, if I
Really?
say
How can you be relational independent of personal?
well, let me say, like, if I say, for example, that I have a personal secret, does it mean that I try to share it with
Yeah,
others?
you're equivocating right now. You're equivocating for the purposes of dodging. Okay. Now, being relational is a sub attribute of being personal. Okay.
Okay.
Now, could you be relational without being personal?
I don't think so.
Right. So being relational is a sub attribute of being personal. Are we clear?
Sure.
Good. Now, does Allah possess the attribute of being personal to its maximum? Is he perfect in regards to him being personal?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Good. Was he relational? Was his relationalness actualized in eternity past?
I don't know. Maybe.
Do you know what to be relational means? That you have to have interaction with another person.
Okay.
Was Allah relational in eternity past?
Well, not if there was no person, no.
So he was deficient in that sub area of being personal. In other words, he didn't possess being personal to its maximum. He was lacking in being relational as a part of him being personal, wasn't he?
Right.
Good. Then your God's not perfect.
Now, can I ask you where you get that biblical term personal?
And these are not trick questions.
No, I understand, but where do you get it?
Where do I get what?
The term personal as an attribute of God.
Is that a serious question? Do you know what it is? A rock personal?
No, it's not.
It's just true by definition.
Is a cat
You
personal?
agent,
Is a cat personal?
Sure.
No.
A cat is not a person?
No.
No.
A cat is
What?
a complex, listen, a cat is a complex biological machine. It's not a person. Animals are not persons.
So what is your
Human beings, do you believe that man is made in the image of God?
Yeah.
Okay. So that means that we reflect the nature of God. God is a personal being. He imbues that into man, and we are personal beings because we are in God's image. Animals are not made in the image of God. They are not personal creatures. Animals, because of their neurology and their operant conditioning, will have stimulus and response, okay, through cause and effect and interact with other animals, but they're not personal.
Can you give me like 10
Okay.
seconds real quick? Just 10 seconds. All right, sorry, I'm back.
Yeah. So the point is, I don't know why you're getting hung up on the issue of Allah or God being personal. Okay. So Allah is lacking. He does not possess being personal to its maximal because his relationalness is not actualized.
But doesn't this line of logic could also apply to other of his attributes? For example, omniscience. If I say, well, Are you more omniscient if you only know yourself, or if you know others?
There's not an issue. That's a malformed way of putting it. There's not more. You can't be more omniscient. You either are omniscient. Listen carefully. Omniscience is all encompassing, so you can't be more or less omniscient. You either are or you aren't.
There
Can
aren't
you be more?
degrees of omniscience.
Okay, is it more perfect to only know yourself, or to know others and everything, even outside of yourself?
I don't even understand the question. The point is simply this, okay? People who are in cults never want to consider that they are in a cult. When listen to me, when serious-minded defeaters are presented, okay, the typical human reaction is to it's called avoidance of falsification. And avoidance of falsification is done through ad hoc excuses, which simply means, oh, the dog ate my homework. Okay? You ever heard that before? The dog ate my homework?
Of course, but I think I could return this same argument to you.
How?
Well, the first thing you said, and then I'll get to the second, you said people who are in a cult never consider that maybe they are in a cult. Do you consider that maybe you are in a cult?
Well, no, because the cult does the cult, okay, although the
but you don't even consider it. Is that correct?
No, because on what grounds would it be cultic?
Right. Well, that's where we get to the second point that you said, is that when you're presented with falsification, I'm asking you, where do you get the personal attribute? And you don't answer, because you know that it's if this attribute.
It's just a dumb question, because does Allah possess the characteristics of being personal, which is to have a mind, a will, and attitude?
An attitude. That's another
Yeah,
characteristic.
a mind and a will and emotions.
But you see, that's the thing, is that you're using the definition of properties that you're taking.
Does Allah love anybody?
Yeah, we already discussed about love.
Does Allah have affections for anybody?
Yes, but love is not strictly relational.
Does Allah have displeasure with anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Those are aspects of attitude and emotions. Now,
so do you mean that he was displeased in eternity?
Dude, listen. Islam claims that Allah is a personal being, not impersonal.
We don't use this terminology.
You don't have to use the term.
But you're pushing the definition.
Dude, listen, I'm really getting irritated. I don't want to stomach this type of sophistry, okay? You know exactly what I'm talking about. So you want us to believe that Islam believes that Allah is an impersonal ultimacy?
No, I never said that.
Good, then Allah is a personal ultimate. Allah is a person. He's a mind. Is Allah a mind?
Allah is a God. He's more than a mind. I mean.
Okay, bye-bye. See you later. Get out of here. You're a clown.
Unbelievable, man.
Where do they grow these people? See, this is so typical of Muslims. It's dodge, 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 evade, evade, evade. But you know what? I will watch that critique of James White, and maybe some of the points will be valid there. But that's not going to change the substantive critiques that James Wood has given of
David Wood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Duncan, I have a couple challenge questions for you.
Well, I'm still waiting for you to answer. Okay, is Allah is he perfect in all his attributes?
Yes, he is. But
Good. Is he perfect in terms of his personalness? Is his characteristic or attribute of personhood, is it complete and maximized, or is it incomplete?
Incomplete is not the right word.
No, sir. Does he possess being personal to its maximum?
I'm not even sure if that's the right terminology to use.
See, here we go again. You're following in the shoes of the guy who just got ejected from the room.
But Duncan, can I ask you a couple challenge
Listen
questions?
to me. Is Allah's personalness, is it complete or not complete? Is it deficient in any way?
None of Allah's attributes are deficient.
Good. Now, so Allah, within his personalness, is he relational in eternity past?
Again, I would say potentially, but not necessarily.
No, I didn't ask you. I didn't. You see, that's an answer. It's an answer to a question I didn't ask. I said, is Allah personal in eternity past? In other words, in order to be personal at all, it has to be actualized.
But why is that the case?
Because then personalness, there are certain attributes which require actualization. Okay. Well, actually, that would be true of all attributes. You couldn't. Okay. So for example, is Allah creator in eternity past?
Allah has the characteristic of being a creator, but
No. Listen. No. So he doesn't possess. Okay. Being creator is not an eternal characteristic of Allah. It's a temporal characteristic. Okay, so Allah's attribute of creator only does not exist in eternity past. It only comes into existence when it's actualized. Now, is Allah personal in eternity past or not?
I would say yes, but it's
Good.
not actualized in eternity past.
Okay, that is a complete incoherency. So Allah is not a mind and a will in eternity past. He's not a mind.
Yes.
Okay, good. So an aspect of being personal, okay, is being relational. Can you be relational without it being actualized in a given instance? The answer is no.
I would say yes.
No, you're not understanding. Okay, relationalness has to be actualized in order to possess it.
Can I give an example from physics?
Does Allah possess the actualization of relationalness in eternity past?
Sorry, I got distracted. Could you repeat the question, please?
Does Allah possess the actualization of relationalness in eternity past?
I would say no.
Good. So Allah is missing, absent relationalness from his personalness in eternal past. Allah is missing the sub-attribute of relationalness in his personalness in eternity past.
May I give an example from physics?
Listen, that's a category error. Okay? We're talking about what's ultimate. Now, we're not talking about being relational is a potentiality because it has to be actualized. It can't be potential. Same thing with being creator. Same thing. Is Allah sovereign in eternity past?
Yes.
Wrong. What was he sovereign over?
there doesn't need to be anything in existence. He's
Then,
sovereign by his very nature.
you're not understanding. You're confusing omnipotence with sovereignty. Sovereignty only comes into play when he creates the world, and his omnipotence is related to the creation. Then you have sovereignty. So you are factually incorrect. Allah is not sovereign. Okay, look up the English word sovereign. There's nothing to be sovereign over.
But that's where we disagree.
You know what? People think that I'm impatient. I think right now is proof positive that I am a patient person.
You are. Thank you. May I ask a couple questions?
Look up the word sovereign.
Read the definition in the room.
I understand the point you're making, but Allah is a special case. I can explain, but it'll
Yeah,
take
he is a
couple
special case.
That's true. I can give another example to analogize the point, but you'll have to give me like 30 seconds.
I'm looking up sovereign. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see, sovereign.
Like, why don't you listen to what he's gonna say so we can have that as food for thought to see if he's going anywhere with it.
Is it possible that seeing as like God isn't necessarily bound by descriptions of in time, and he's eternal and of all time, that characteristics wouldn't necessarily be bound by that?
Yeah, your mic is terrible.
Is this any better?
Yeah.
So is it possible that since God, is eternal and he isn't necessarily bound to a specific period in time or like the direction of time, that we can't necessarily describe his characteristics based on that?
Hold on, I'm looking up.
That's a really interesting point. That there may be some validity to that, but I'm not a theologian.
So what does it mean for relation to be actualized?
What does it mean? It means that one person relates to another person.
So it's like a demonstration of.
All right, listen. Here's sovereign from, let's say, dictionary.com. A monarch, a king, a queen, okay? A person who has supreme power or authority. Authority over what? You see, the implication is that there are second entities, okay? It says, having supreme rank, power, and authority. How can you have a rank when you're the only thing that exists? Okay? How can you have authority over what? What do you have authority over when nothing exists?
Excellent
Duncan,
points.
I can show that would lead to a contradiction in the Christian worldview as well. Are you interested in my rebuttal?
How so?
Okay, think about it this way. Okay, so if you were saying that well, let me ask you this first. In your Christian worldview, do you believe that God is sovereign in eternity, past, present, and future?
No, God is not sovereign in eternity past. God becomes sovereign the moment he creates.
Okay.
God's sovereignty is not an eternal characteristic.
Okay, in that case, then my
Do you
rebuttal
know
won't
what?
work against you.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make to you is that there are certain characteristics have to be actualized. Okay. So God is omniscient in eternity past. He has actualization of that, right? God is relational because it's actualized in eternity past for the God of the Bible, but it is not actualized at all. Therefore, the attribute of relational doesn't exist as a characteristic of being personal. So his personalness is lacking until there's creation and he is relational. Okay. God is relational to his creation through natural revelation and special revelation. But Allah is not relational in eternity past. You've already agreed that being relational is a attribute of the attribute of being personal. Okay? So one could be personal, but they could be deficient in maximizing their personalness because they were not relational. Okay? Now, when God made Adam, Adam was instantaneously relational because he had immediate knowledge of God. Okay? Adam was never not knowing God. Okay? So even though Adam was the only human being before Eve was made, he was relational with God through natural and special revelation. We can be relational with God because God makes us to know that he exists in our minds, even though some people suppress that. So human beings are always relational. Okay? We can never be free from our God consciousness. We can only suppress that God consciousness. Right? So human beings are always relational because of our God consciousness. We're also relational because of our interaction with other human beings. Right?
Okay, I agree with you there.
So Allah is not relational in eternity past. What you're doing here is you're shocked because you know what the implications here, but you don't want to consider that Allah is false. And I'm showing you that the God who does exist, the triune God of the Christian scriptures, God has revealed that he is one God, one being, one God, okay, but that he is multi-personal, right? And the triunity resolves theological and philosophical problems. But Muhammad couldn't have known about this. This is why he made the mistake. The reason why Muhammad reacted the way he did is because he despised polytheism. Okay? And so when he came along and he heard about Christianity, he thought that the Christians were advocating polytheism. He got the Trinity wrong on two counts. One, that the Trinity was teaching polytheism, not one God. And he thought that each of the members of the Trinity were Allah, Jesus, and Mary. So Allah got the doctrine of the Trinity wrong on two historical accounts. Let me ask you this question. Does historic Christian doctrine in the New Testament and throughout the centuries, did it teach that there were three gods or one God? Dr. Jasper, please mute your microphone. Did Christianity teach that there was one God or three gods?
I don't understand the Trinity. It's three in one, one in three, but I don't know how to explain.
No, the Christian doctrine from the first century until now is explicit. There is one God, one being, one essence. And that God has revealed that he has a threefold distinction within himself, that there is diversity within his unity. There's diversity and unity, okay? That diversity are three persons, okay? Saying that there are three persons that are in one being, there's nothing logically incoherent about that. It may be hard to wrap our heads around it. It may be paradoxical. But the point is, Muhammad thought it was polytheism.
Duncan, can we move away from the Trinity just for a second and to an earlier point?
Yeah, tell me how does, I mean, there's no plan of salvation in Islam. How do you resolve the problem that justice has not been administered for all evil?
That's a very deep and different discussion, but I actually got an interesting DM from someone, and I think
Make
it's
it fast, because I gotta hit the sack.
Okay, we can continue now. Okay, real quick. Do you think it's possible for God to be sovereign over all possibilities or potentialities in the endless past or going eternally past?
No, that's a contradiction in terms, because potentialities are abstractions. Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
Listen to me. In order to be sovereign, okay, there must be something that you're sovereign over. Okay.
Come on, man. This is simple stuff. I don't understand what's
Look,
so
if
difficult.
we say God is the supreme being, in eternity past, when God just simply existed logically prior to creation, there's no supremacy. Supremacy over what?
Even the personal question you bring up, you cannot have a relationship if there's only one single entity. Where's the relationship? I don't get it. I don't see how they don't.
Listen. There was nobody for Allah to relate to in eternity past. He was lacking the relational aspect of being personal. But you cannot accept that, because if you do, it falsifies Allah, and you cannot stomach this, okay? Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is not so you jump on the Christian bandwagon. It's so that you come to the cross of Jesus Christ. Muhammad was a kook. Muhammad didn't understand religion. He was illiterate. He was a violent man. He was a deceitful man.
He also didn't know when he first got the revelation from Gabriel if it was an angel or a devil. He had to go to his wife.
There's no plan of salvation, okay? Let me ask you this question. If Allah is a monad, if he's a single person, where he simply is a unity with no diversity, right? Then how do we see that reflected in creation? unity and no diversity. Okay? You see the problem there? You see, with the triune God, we have unity and diversity that has equal ultimacy. That in turn is reflected in creation where we have unity and diversity.
I understand your concerns, Duncan, and perhaps I can discuss it or address it another night.
Yeah, well, keep on following Islam and you're going to spend eternity in hell. God is not going to look kind. Listen, this is not a game. This is not a trial run.
I understand.
Yeah. Islam is a worldwide cult. You know, Islam teaches true. I want to see how truthful or knowledgeable you are. Does Islam teach world domination by the sword?
I mean,
see, he won't answer it.
well, it's not in the way.
Come on, man, answer it. Let's go.
I don't know if I can answer it in like one sentence though.
Yeah.
It's not
Look,
in the way
do you know? Listen to me carefully. Do you know there's nothing in the New Testament that says if somebody defects from Christianity, they're to be killed? What does Islam say if you defect from Islam? What does the Quran say to do to that person?
The Quran doesn't mention anything about that, but in the Hadith, some people, yes, believe that the.
Oh, the Quran doesn't. The Quran doesn't say anything about people who leave Islam, right? What does the Bible say that we should do to those who defame Jesus Christ? Does it say we should kill them? Does the Bible say kill those who defame Jesus Christ?
Islam does not teach that as well. So,
Okay, you know what? Get out of here! Get out of here, you lying piece of trash!
Typical liar.
Can you believe that?
They'll hold
Can
on
you
to it,
believe? Can you believe that Islam doesn't teach to kill those who defame the Prophet? It's right in there in the Quran.
But he's going to say you just misunderstand it.
I got to go.
Good
I
night,
would say I'll
Duncan.
see you tomorrow, but it's the same day. No,
Yeah.
I went to bed earlier and then I woke up. So,
All right.
See y'all
Good night,
later.
man. See you guys later.